Welcome to the Pick Your Pick podcast, the podcast where we dive deep into all the sports books, find our favorite plays, and pitch them to each other to find the best plays every day. I'm Joe. This is Jer. How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. Had a great day at work today. It was pretty quiet and uneventful, which is always good.
We love that.
We got a great slate of bets for tomorrow night. It's
Okay.
probably going to be a big card, so I'm super excited for tomorrow.
Yeah, and we did quite good with our bets, man. Quite good. Let's just switch to it right now. We had a great day last night. It was a hot 3-1. The only person that let us down was Lauri Markkanen. He took the amount of threes that we thought he needed to hit his over, but he didn't really hit the threes. He just attempted them. So that's a little bit
that
tough.
guy couldn't hit a broadside of a barn last night.
Yeah, but luckily, John Morant, like I said, could happen. Covered is over 42.5. Just the points alone, he had a fat 52. Was a great game to watch, and that Baylor one was free money for me as well. So overall, it was a pretty damn good night. We'll always take a 3-1, no matter who gets the 2-0, who gets the 1-1. We'll always take a 3-1 for the podcast. So we'll check out the slates for later on today, and we'll start in the NHL because Jared seems pretty excited about this one. So we'll take it over there right now.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a great night for player props. So stay tuned to the Twitter tomorrow. I'm going to be probably dropping a boatload of player props on the timeline tomorrow. But we have 9 games tomorrow in the NHL, most notably the Senators at the Lightning. That's going to be a couple great prop targets in that one. New Jersey and Columbus is another great matchup for props between those teams who have been scoring a ton and giving up a ton recently. Carolina and Detroit, which we're going to talk more about later. Calgary and Minnesota, which is actually currently minus 110 on the money line on both sides, which is pretty rare for hockey. The Montreal Canadiens and the Winnipeg Jets, which we'll also get more into later. The Islanders at the Avalanche. This could be a great game to target an under in, with the Avs struggling on offense recently, and the Islanders being one of the best teams to the under in the NHL. San Jose and Vegas, which could have another few great player props. And to round out the night, we have Boston at Anaheim, and this is another beautiful matchup to target props in.
All right, we like it. It is a long slate of games. If you are a NHL fan, I think it's going to be just a good night to watch stuff. We love that. Also, I love the way you say Vegas. Always nice to
Vegas.
Now for the NBA, we have it's another one of those all right slate of games. The NBA usually starts off the week a little bit slow and then kicks it up as we get on throughout, especially on the weekend. We have the Pistons going up against the Wizards. We may have a sneaky play that comes out at the end. Who knows? You never know with Jared out here. We have the Hawks versus the Celtics, which I think could be a pretty nice game to watch. You got our great defense and a great offense going against each other. The Nets and Raptors, which we will be talking about a little bit later. The Clippers and the Rockets. Honestly, I think there's going to be a Clippers beatdown on one of the worst teams in the NBA. As we get closer, I think the Rockets are going to really stop trying and just really flood in those wins for a draft pick. Warriors Timberwolves could be a really fun one without Draymond Green and possibly without Klay Thompson. This is looking to be a little bit of a closer game, and we could see Cat eat in the paint. Definitely one to keep your eye on there. And the Mavericks versus the Lakers, which we'll also be talking about. There's quite a few things in this game that I personally like a lot, but I only have one that I'm picking for the podcast play.
Whatever the spread is, take Dallas.
100%. We love that. And then for college basketball,
and take an alternative spread on plus 29.5 because they're getting beat by 30.
Oh Lord, that's a bold statement. Anyway, for college basketball, we have a fun one, man. Number 9 Providence versus number 11 Villanova. Jared and I have gone back and forth on this one. We both are thinking about taking an overplay on this one, but not going to make an official podcast play just because it's a little bit wishy-washy. Tennessee's going to beat down Georgia for one last time on the season. Kentucky is going to give Ole Miss one more butt whooping before the season wraps up. Same with Ohio State and Nebraska. And same thing with Duke and Pittsburgh. Kansas TCU could be a good game, but I think the best game on this night is either going to be Purdue, Wisconsin, number 8 versus number 10, or Arizona versus UNC. These are 2 or 4 of the top teams in the country. It's going to be really fun games. I think it's going to be great to see. And then we have a few more Division I games sneaking in there. Could be fun, like Dayton or Richmond. 2 really good teams out there, especially Richmond. I think there's actually the guard on Richmond set the record for most steals in a total career by an NCAA player this season, which is just honestly a crazy thing to have happen. So they got some good defense out there, especially him picking pockets. can be a fun game to see if you like watching some fast breaks. But overall, just a pretty decent slate, both full of a lot of good games. And I think it'd be fun overall. So we're going to switch it back to the two webcams. It's going to be a fun one. Jared's got two NHL picks for us. He's going to start us off with. So that's always exciting.
Yeah, so for my first pick, I'm going to be talking about the Montreal Canadiens on the road at the Winnipeg Jets. This is the first time these two teams will be playing each other this year. The Canadiens have been on fire recently. They've won 5 straight games, and it's not just any 5 games that they've won. They've beaten a few good teams over that stretch in the Toronto Maple Leafs, the St. Louis Blues, and the New York Islanders. On the other side, the Winnipeg Jets have been a much better hockey team this season. However, recently they've started to struggle. Over the last 10 games, they have a record of 4-6 and have lost 4 of their last 5. Throughout this stretch, the Jets have been allowing 3.40 goals against when they've only been allowing 2.98 goals per game this season. And this could be cause for concern against a red-hot Canadiens team who over their last 5 games have been scoring 3.4 goals per game as well. And they haven't allowed more than 2 goals per game in their last 5 games. Since the Canadiens hired their new head coach, they've had new life. Marty St. Louis has these guys playing a more free-paced, fast style of hockey, which I think fits their talent better. They're young, fast players, rather than the old system that their coach, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but he was abysmal. He had an 8-30 record as the Canadiens head coach. So whatever he was doing just wasn't working. Coming into tonight's game, I don't think the Jets are really going to know what to expect. They haven't played the Canadiens yet this year, and they're a relatively young team. And over the last 5 games, as I just said, they've been playing a completely different game. So there's not a lot of tape on this team right now. So far this season, the Jets are the 5th least profitable team at home, which means they struggle to beat teams they should beat. And a perfect example of this would be, the Montreal Canadiens. They're playing them tonight. Since February 16th, the Canadiens ranked 22nd in CF percentage, Corsi percentage. And that tells you how often you're controlling the play. And 22nd isn't impressive, but the Jets are 30th. During that same time span, the Canadiens ranked 1st in the NHL in goal differential. Over that time span, they have scored 12 goals and only allowed 4 at 5-on-5 play. The Jets ranked 19th in goal differential over their last 10 games and actually have a -1 goal differential at 5-on-5 over these 10 games. And the final stat I want to talk about to make my case is the Canadiens over the last 10 games have had the 13th best high danger scoring chance percentage in the NHL, whereas the Winnipeg Jets have ranked 24th. I'm going to ride with the Canadiens on the money line here at plus 189. I think that's insane value on a team that's won 5 straight games. And there's not much more to that. That's pretty insane.
I mean, I'm looking at this. You have the Canadiens, they were 0-10 in their last 10 and then complete switch up and now have won 5 consecutive games. I mean, just talk about a hot streak, man.
And the boys are just buzzing.
Yeah,
They're cruising.
You gotta love it. It looks like they're just having fun out there as well, which you gotta love. And I mean, again, then you're going against a team who is 1-4 in their last 5 games, which isn't great. And I mean, looking at it, the one team that they did beat also doesn't look that hot, so it doesn't really seem like it's that crazy. It may be a bold pick from the books, but I actually quite like that one.
And I mean, I didn't really mention it because they've been playing without them the whole season, but 2 of their Jets' best forwards have been sidelined for most of the year with injuries, so it's kind of been a wait till next year's season for the Jets to kind of recoup back to full strength.
Fair enough.
Be able to make a run at it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, and I was actually able to
coming towards again. I guess coming into March, coming towards the end of the year, the motivation is less and less. I don't exactly know what the Jets' record is right now. I didn't look too much at the record because I'm more focused on tomorrow night's game.
They're right about even. 23, 21, and 9.
At best, they're sneaking into a playoff spot. So I don't know. We'll see.
All right. So
I like the Canadiens.
I kind of like them too. I'll take it. I'll ride with that one. So bringing it back to the NBA, and I've been a glutton for punishment in the NBA recently, although I had a good night. And I'm going to be taking it to this Mavericks versus Lakers game. And I'm not doing something that everybody may expect. I'm not going to the star player, and I'm not picking out the points, rebounds, and assists. I'm staying away from it tonight. And that's because Luka's points, rebounds, and assists tonight is at 51.5. And I just can't bet an over on that. If anything, I think an under on that is just likely what's going to happen. I mean, we're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, who are one of the worst home teams in the NBA, versus one of the better road teams in the Mavericks. I'm staying clear away from that. So the person that I'm actually going to be going for is going to be Jalen Brunson out of here for the Mavericks, because Jalen Brunson is an absolute hooper. And is one of those slept on guys. So Brunson actually plays as like that shooting guard role for the Mavericks, aside or next to Luka, and he's actually quite the hooper. He's averaging at 16 points, 3.8 rebounds, and 5.4 assists on the season, and his current over on points is at 15.5, which I'm going to be taking. Now, most of the time he's actually been hitting this. He's averaging 17 points throughout all of February, but he has had back-to-back rough games against Utah and Golden State, two of the better guard defenses. But the only other time that he hasn't hit this over 15 so far in this month was against LAC, where it was only 11. And I'm pretty sure that first game against LAC, Luka went for 50. So there really weren't many shots for Brunson to be taking because Luka was chucking up everything that he could possibly can. So I'm not really going to look too much into that. Now, Brunson, you would think would get less minutes with the addition of Spencer Dinwiddie, but actually has been playing more minutes in his last 10 games, which is awesome, which sees his average sitting at about 17, 4, and 4. So I do actually kind of like his points, rebounds, and assists here, but I'm just going straight points. Now, that's one of the reasons that I love this, but the second is that the Lakers are absolutely horrible on defense, and they have horrible performances at home. Like, literally just that. The Mavericks are a solid road team this season. They're 18-12 at the spread on the road. They've been performing very well as of late. The Lakers have been abysmal at home. And the last game against the Pelicans, it was a 28-point loss at home where the Lakers couldn't guard anyone. Everybody was getting whatever they wanted against the Lakers. Not having Anthony Davis has really hurt their defense. The Lakers have the most points allowed to opponents this season and give up the second most points to shooting guards. But they do actually hold PGs down to a relative amount. And with Brunson and Luka kind of both playing the roles, I'm just going to consider them both shooting guards for this because it works better in my favor. So overall, it's interesting for the Lakers. Now, last game against the Lakers, Brunson had 25, 9, and 3, though there was no Luka and only Porzingis was playing. But I do think that Luka will probably sit a little bit more, probably won't try as hard, because usually in the games that the Mavericks are definitely going to win, Luka kind of takes it a little bit easy, and I see Brunson kind of stepping up in this. Now, Brunson has hit this mark in 7 of his last 10, like I talked about earlier, and on top of that, he's had back-to-back tough games, and I think he's definitely going to bounce back here against a team like the Lakers, who probably aren't going to be doing anything crazy. And again, the only way that I really see this being absolutely horrible, where he doesn't get right on it, or just narrowly above, is if Luka just decides, you know what, why not, and drops 50 on the Lakers, and sadly hits that points, rebounds, and assists over when I don't go for it.
That would be so fitting.
Dude, it'd be so fun.
But I hope not, because I'm going to be on that under.
Yeah, at
51
and a half, I mean, come on.
I mean, I might wait on it and see if the public will bet it up to 52, because that's the only reason why it's going higher. People keep betting the over.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Anyway,
about Brunson.
About Brunson. Even in those, you said he's covered in the last 7 of his last 10. Even in those games at a 20.5 line, he's flying over those. He's at 24, 23, 26, 22, 27, 24, 25. Those are pretty relative easily covers.
Yep.
And off of 2 pretty horrendous games.
Yeah,
he's going to be looking to go off against a bad team here. So I do like that bet.
Yeah, I do like that. And again, it's like Luka against those games that they're definitely pretty handed. Luka kind of looks more to get those assist numbers up versus, dropping some buckets. He's still going to get his 20, but he doesn't really go out there trying to drop 50 on a team. So I see Brunson kind of stepping up there. Plus, The great thing is Brunson and Dinwiddie are kind of sharing that role of running that bench lineup when Luka isn't on there. And Brunson has been great in those minutes, and I love the look of him just getting a nice clean 16 against, again, a horrible Lakers team. Can't emphasize how bad the Lakers have been enough. They really have just been horrible this season, especially on defense, man. Like you have to keep hitting that point because the Lakers have been horrible. Like Russ has an 18.5 points per game average on the season, but then has 12.6 in his last 10 home games. Like they have just been abysmal.
Coming this Saturday on the first long form episode of this podcast is Joe ranting about the Lakers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Everything Lakers with Joe. That's going to be a segment.
Hey, we'll
but
add that on.
I do like your point about Luka against weaker matchups. To get back on topic, against Oklahoma, he only had 33 points, rebounds, assists, 37 points, rebounds, assists.
Yeah.
And Portland only had 40.
Yeah, when he knows that they can pretty easily take that, he's like, yeah, I'll just pass the rock a little bit. I don't really need to score.
So, I like that.
All right, yeah.
We'll like the under on that. I like the over on Brunson.
Yeah, let's switch it over to the NHL. Bring it back to the nice stick and puck, whatever the hell you call it.
So I can go into the NHL again. I'm gonna be actually betting another plus money bet tonight. So we got 2 plus money bets on my side of things.
Spicy.
Tonight the Carolina Hurricanes are on the road against the Detroit Red Wings. So far this season, the Hurricanes have been one of the clear Stanley Cup contenders. They're the 4th most profitable team against the spread in the NHL, and they're taking on a Detroit team who has been terrible against the spread, much like Joe's Lakers. They've been terrible. The Red Wings are the 2nd worst team against the spread in the NHL, having a 22-30 record. The Hurricanes are on a 5-game win streak and are playing some pretty good hockey recently. Over the last 5 games, they've beat some quality opponents and beat up on a couple weaker opponents that they should. The Red Wings, on the other hand, they've started to trend the other way. They've lost 3 of their last 5 and given up 15 goals in their last game, or last 2 games, 10 goals in their last game to the Toronto Maple Leafs. As I just said, the last one was played against the Maple Leafs, and the next one before that was played against the Avalanche, where they allowed 5 goals. These are 2 of the most prolific offenses in the NHL, which, okay, it's fair enough to give up goals to them. Not 10, but tonight, it doesn't get any easier against the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes rank 6th in goals per game in the NHL and rank 1st in goals allowed. To compare the teams, the Red Wings rank 19th in goals scored and 27th in goals allowed, so they don't even really compare in those 2 aspects. The Red Wings tank 3.7 penalties per game, which is going to be a problem tonight. The Hurricanes have the 5th ranked power play in the NHL, and they also have the number 1 ranked penalty kill. So if you're taking penalties against them, they're going to take advantage of you being shorthanded, but they're not going to get taken advantage of when they go shorthanded. The Hurricanes are also a much better team at even strength than the Red Wings. The Hurricanes control the play 54.6% of the time, which ranks 4th in the NHL. And the Red Wings rank 29th in CF percentage and 46.67%. This game is going to be played in Detroit's defensive end. Carolina's going to get plenty of scoring chances, and I don't like the odds of Detroit scoring more than 1 or 2 goals in this one. I think Carolina takes this one 4-1, 5-2, somewhere in that range. I'm going to take the Hurricanes -1.5 on the puck line at +114 here. I think they win by a crooked number tonight.
Fair enough. I mean, just looking at these guys, they look crazy. I mean, 37, 11, and 4. Most of their wins seem pretty dominant. I mean, I like that.
They just bully folks.
Yeah, I mean, also, you let up 10 goals?
10 goals.
10? Dog.
Dude, okay, we'll talk about this game too quick, briefly.
Briefly.
The total in that game, I believe, was 6.
Mm-hmm.
It finished at 17, because not only did they give up 10, they scored 7. The Leafs gave up 7 goals and still won the game by 3.
Dog.
Like, that's absurd.
Nobody was playing defense.
It was an all-star game.
I love that. Honestly. We need
But that
more
was about
games
the
like
only
that.
game Detroit has scored in recently for anyone that cares.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Detroit
seeing
doesn't
most of
score the
them,
puck.
1-2, 1-2, 1-2, occasional 3 sneaks in here.
Yeah, the Leafs just suck at defense too, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
And the Leafs are horrendous
you
recently at defense.
we got the Leafs and the Lakers. Look at that. The L's can't play defense. We love that.
Yeah.
We love that. Okay. So bringing it back to the NBA for the final pick of the day, I'm going to be bringing it back to a game that happened yesterday night, but is also happening tonight. Back to back, same teams. We love that. And that's the Raptors versus the Nets. So I guess this might be one of the, most simple bets that I've really talked about. So I think that the Raptors only being a -6 at the spread is a little bit crazy, if I'm being honest, given yesterday, the Raptors won by 36. Now, that's without Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie's like a 23, 24 point per game scorer, which still leaves us at a 12-point win for the Raptors if you just straight to give Kyrie's points to the Nets with nothing extra with the bad defense that Kyrie will also break. So that's already not looking great for the Nets. But on top of that, they're just bad. The Nets are just bad. There's still no KD. There's still no Ben Simmons. I just think this one's going to be pretty easy. Now, in that 36-point win, Scotty Barnes went absolutely berserk. 28 points, 16 rebounds, and 24 of those were in the first half. So Scotty Barnes knew they had it in the bag and then just stopped trying. This could have been a 60-point game if we're really looking at it. It was crazy. And that was with Pascal Siakam having a pretty bad game in back-to-back nights, and Gary Trent only having 12 points because he knew that they had it in the bag and literally didn't even try. Now, they're still going to be without OG and Fred, and this one will be in Toronto, so Kyrie will be playing unlike yesterday, which obviously will have a few more points for the Nets. They have looked better offensively with Kyrie. But this is a story of a team in the Raptors who's all around pretty solid, and the Nets who really only are out here getting buckets. And I just don't like those odds because the second that the Nets have a bad offensive night, they're getting blown out by 40, and it's really not even up for debate. Now, Fred VanVleet is questionable for the game tonight. And I like this, obviously, even more if Fred is playing because he brings defense, a bunch of scoring, and just leadership and camaraderie onto this Raptors team. We know everybody loves Fred. I'm a personal big fan of Fred VanVleet myself, so it's already looking pretty damn good. On top of this, the Nets are 4-5-1 at the spread in their last 10 road games, and the Raptors are 7-3 at home against the spread. And that's really all that I have for this one. I just think this is as simple as it can get. I think the Nets did beat the Bucks, but I really feel like that's just a fluke game. I mean, can we look at it? 36 points they beat them by. I just don't think bringing Kyrie into the game is going to make that much of a difference given what happened tonight. And that was in Brooklyn. And now we're going to Toronto with the Raptors being one of the best home teams. I just think this is simple.
Yeah. I think it's pretty simple too. I don't think I can comment on this game for
biased reasons
I'm going to show you in a minute. Keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling. I guess I'll add one more point while he's getting this. I also like this because it is -6 that I got it at. So there still is that ability to push if the Nets do somehow play a little bit of enough defense for it. And look at that.
I think I'm a little biased.
We are a little biased. A little biased. Look at that. And he's throwing the headset back on.
I think I'm just a little biased.
A little biased. Yeah, I think your opinion is a little bit.
I think it would be a little bit invalidated, but I love that. I love that pick.
I just think it's easy. I also, what I was saying while you were gone to cover up the time was that I also like this because I got it at -6. There still is that ability that it could be a push just in case the Nets decide to not be absolute trash.
Fair enough. The only other thing I have to say about that is I love Fred VanVleet too.
All right, so we have already done the screen now. It hasn't been set up, so we'll switch to this one image really quick. So you'll see yesterday's performance just for a second here while I get it switched, and we'll go to daily picks, and boom, we already have it set up. There it is. Today's picks, we have Jalen Brunson over 15.5 points at -112. The Canadiens money line, the Carolinas -1.5 puck line, and the Raptors -6 versus the Nets. All around, I think all of these are looking pretty damn solid. And every time we say this, it doesn't actually go our way. But I like this. I think we're at least looking at a 3-1.
We've loved the picks the last 2 days, and we're 7-1.
That's fair. I think this can be another minimum 3-1 to a 4-0 day, which I really like to see. So overall, I'm liking this. I think it could be a fun one. So Fingers crossed, I guess. Anyway, if you guys did enjoy this episode of the podcast and you're watching it on YouTube, hit that like button down below and comment what you guys think, as well as subscribe if you guys are new to the YouTube. Those have been doing great out there, so thank you guys as well. Also, anybody watching the TikTok, you guys are goats. TikToks are going crazy. If you're watching this on any or listening to this on any of the podcast platforms, leave us a review. Nice, beautiful little 5 stars for our wonderful voices out here, just sounding absolutely sexy on the microphones. It's going to be a good time. So make sure you guys go out there, make some bets, and of course, make some money.
See ya.